So I don't think that in the history of this channel we have ever had this much space to work on cars before. I have used this garage in the past, but it's never been set up for specifically working on cars, which is kind of wild to think about. Like, I did the best I could in that little garage in Corvallis, but compared to this place, I mean, that was nothing. There's so much room in here. Unfortunately, it did take me a little bit longer than I would have liked to get this place ready to go. During the time that I was in Corvallis, the quality of my videos went up a lot. I'm unwilling to sacrifice the quality of the uploads because I want to produce the best content that I can for you guys. So unfortunately, it's been a little bit since I uploaded, but I'm not dead. I'm not quitting YouTube, and we have a lot to get done. So before we jump into things, we're actually going to go back in time a little bit, and I'm going to show you guys the last footage that was recorded in Corvallis on this project, and then we'll pick up right where we left off, but in the new space. Check it out, I actually cleaned it in here a little bit.
Call this clean?
Yeah, bro. By my standards. I might clean it up a little bit more, but yeah, it's basically gonna look like that. Good enough. It's a daily. My daily's gonna have this show car worthy engine, but I have to remind myself. Are you serious? Is it not? Look how shiny it is.
It's pretty nice.
Good morning, boys. Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're finally going to be doing some work on the chassis itself. Thus far in the series, everything has been drivetrain related, working inside the garage. But today, you know, the sun came out for at least the next 35 minutes or so. So we're gonna spend some time getting the front bumper removed because since we're going turbo in this car, we need to install our intercooler system. The stock intercooler was like a side mount with the radiator, but I didn't want to buy that, and I really like the way the front mount intercoolers look. So we're gonna be clocking the turbo and switching it to a front mount setup. So in order to do that, we need to start by removing this bumper, and then I know that there's like a core support in here that we might have to cut, or I don't know. We'll just have to see. But we're gonna go ahead and start pulling this bumper off, and then I'll show you guys the intercooler setup that I decided to go with.
Damn.
Jeez, dude.
What the hell?
Don't strip it.
Oh my. Why is that on there so hard, so tight?
Why is it on there so hard?
Why am I so hard? God.
What the? I got an idea. Got it. And you thought it was a bad idea.
I'll be honest, I did.
It's weird. You can't really see the droplets falling out of the sky, but you can definitely see it's pouring rain.
It is.
Oh, thank you.
Very, very moist up in here.
Okay, I might have to send you home. All right, you're gonna want to take your bolts, lay them out strategically. Look at that defense. H6, am I right?
You sunk my battleship.
We're getting there. So, as I mentioned before, we've got a front mount setup for this car. Of course, I went with none other than Mishimoto because, like, you got to get a Mishimoto intercooler, right? Heck yeah, bro. It's gonna look sweet.
Mitsubishi.
One thing I can't decide is, like, do we run the Mishimoto logo on the front? I don't know if that really matches our aesthetic though, because this car is supposed to be a sleeper. It's symmetrical, so we could flip it this way and have no letters. I also feel like it's kind of cool to have the thing.
I like it without the letters.
You like it without?
I think it would look a lot cleaner, but...
The next step, of course, is we have to mount this on the car. We want the intercooler to fit right inside of our lower grille. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Luckily, this car has this foam that goes on top of the core support here, and this foam is the exact shape of our inner grille. So in order to mount our intercooler, we need to clearance this metal a little bit. So for starters, we're gonna actually just trace the foam here before we pull it off, and then we're gonna cut this core support. All right, so when I moved back home, I ended up just zip tying the bumper on for a little bit when we had to trailer the car, so should be pretty easy to get back over here. And zip ties are your friends. I love zip ties. Maybe a little too much. Hopefully our modified cross member didn't warp too much and it'll fit on the way it came off. There we go. Nice. I was a little worried there for a second. Some of these bolts are a real pain for me to show you guys because it's like I can't even see them or just barely see them, but they are there, and it's like I can't even get a socket to them. Like I remember a few months ago when we took this thing apart, it was such a pain to get it off just because how buried everything is. And I think that's one thing that the videos don't always show is like I may cut a little too much of the footage out just because it's not exactly entertaining, but a lot of times it's like I may be working on something for 30 minutes to an hour and then the video either like cuts it out entirely or makes it look like it took, you know, 3 seconds or whatever. But it's going back together, so that's all that matters. Get her done. Assuming that all these holes line up perfectly, we should have our intercooler ready to mount on. Okay, so we have some good news and we have some bad news, as usual. The good news is that my measurements for these holes actually worked. Like this thing lines up very nicely from the top down and whatnot. That is about where the good news ends. Unless maybe you consider that it looks really cool on here. First thing is I want it to sit a little bit lower. My measurements weren't exact because there was like a recess that I originally measured off of, and then I ended up cutting that extra piece of metal off. So the intercooler is sitting about one, you know, whatever one of these channels is, like one fin set too high. So that's not too big of a deal, but that means that I need to get some slightly longer bolts. So I'm gonna get some bolts that are a little bit longer. I may just get washers. I'd like to have like an actual spacer, but I don't have access to a lathe anymore because we're not in Corvallis, so we'll see. Maybe I can find something that works as a spacer, but worst case I'll just get some washers and add a little bit of relief there. It's damn close, but the problem is that our intercooler pipe may hit this and I don't really want to cut it because I just welded it all back on there. So we're gonna push our intercooler down just a little bit, and then the other problem that we're having here is we need to trim the bumper. So these tabs on the grill are hitting the intercooler. I think I may be able to get away with just cutting them. Hopefully it doesn't lose too much of the structural integrity, but if it gets really bad, I may just remove that lower grill. I don't want to. I kind of want it to keep the front mount hidden because we are sort of going for the sleeper thing with this car, but worst case, we can always just remove that lower grill. It's not gonna hurt anything and this will still function. All right, so update, we needed to move the intercooler down, so I went to the store and I got some longer bolts. And I just decided to get a stack of washers and just kind of do it the old-fashioned way. And I think at this point, with it being so close to being where I want it, it's just kind of like add a washer, see how it looks, that sort of thing. Because technically I could run it how it is, but I want the inlet and outlet ports to just be a little bit further down. So I'm just gonna throw this new hardware in there, see how it looks, and then I'll update you guys in a second. Okay, so I wanted to show this to you guys with the bumper on real quick, just so you can see the areas of the bumper that we need to cut. There's like a little square part right here. Hold on, I'm gonna get the phone flashlight. Yeah, so you can see this little square piece of the grill is hitting the inlet, so that's gonna need to get shaved down. And then similarly, like some of these tabs in the middle, they're just barely hitting the fin, so I think we can get away with just shaving them down a little bit. And then similar story on this side, that little square piece is hitting the outlet. So that's kind of reassuring because it means that I did a pretty good job of lining this thing up in the middle. And then also what I did for the final mounting location was I decided to use this hole and like so the outside holes rather than the center. And I remembered what happened a few months ago when I was in Corvallis. This center hole is actually slightly off from the other two, but I mean, it's really on there. It's not like we need all 3 bolts, but I'd forgotten that I made a mistake in drilling that one out. So this one was drilled perfectly all the way through, and then this one had a relief cut so that way it didn't bind. And so we had a circle and a cylinder, and that means that we have 2 planes and a cylinder, which will restrict all degrees of freedom. We should be good to go. Now, I'm also planning on keeping the bumper off of the car for a little bit because I need to do the intercooler piping next. So I'm not going to shave the bumper in this video. Today's video was just about getting all the fab work done and installing that, even though it was kind of delayed by the move and whatnot. In the next video, we're gonna work on getting the drivetrain back in the car, and that way we can line up where our charge pipes are gonna go, and I'm really excited to do that. I think we have everything here ready to go. We've got like a new clutch, the engine is on the stand underneath that, so lots of exciting stuff coming here very soon. Also, I'm doing my best to get this garage functioning just the way I want to. I did so much rearranging over this last month. Like, there used to be a refrigerator right here. Now the space is completely open, and there was also like giant shelves on this wall. We got rid of everything that was on them. Most of it got thrown away, honestly, and then we put up like a wall mounted shelf rather than having floor shelves, and that allowed us to put the toolboxes up against the wall over here. So that's going to be really nice, especially once we get some more organization on the wall. It's going to help clear things out a little bit. This stuff is just for my dad's work. It's not permanent here. And then over on this side of the garage, there was another shelf that was up against the concrete, and then there was another one behind it. Both of those shelves have been moved. Of course, these boxes in the middle are all parts that either need to get sold or given away to somebody on Facebook for the Protege, because I just have so many parts for this car, and now that I'm getting the drivetrain back together, I'm realizing that I have way too much excess. So if you are in the Protege community and you're looking for some random component, there's a pretty good chance that I have it in one of these boxes. So just shoot me a message on Instagram or something, and then we can chat about it. Of course, this video is a little bit short and sweet. I didn't do too much, but I'm kind of just getting back in the habit of uploading videos again. And as always, if you like today's video, make sure you leave a like down below. It really helps out the channel when you guys do that. And I'll see you guys very soon, because I mean, like literally tomorrow morning, I'm gonna try to drop the engine in there. So hope you guys are looking forward to that, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.